The sudden downpour caught me off guard, forcing me to take shelter in his small farmhouse. As he dried my hair with a warm hairdryer, I turned to thank him, and my hand brushed against. There. I'm too big. It'll be really hard. Other women have all run away. You'll get hurt. I still remember Arthur's trembling voice in that moment as if it were yesterday. But I didn't give up. Maybe I could be different. How would we ever know if we didn't even try? The whispers from the village elders had started to make sense, one by one. But there was something they hadn't told me. How utterly perfect it could be. It began with surprise, then acceptance, and finally a profound joy. Every bit of it started the moment I, a 52-year-old city woman burnt out and exhausted, met him, Arthur Reed, the reclusive 62-year-old country farmer, the talk of the village. Before we dive into my story, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. Your support means the world to me. Now let's begin. My name is Eleanor Vance, and I'm 52 years old. For 2 decades, I'd been a senior account manager at a mid-sized import-export firm in downtown Chicago. My life was a relentless cycle. Waking at 7 a.m., catching the L train to work, and not getting home until after 10 p.m. My husband and I had divorced 5 years prior, and our daughter, Chloe, was away at college, living in a dorm, only calling home maybe once a month. Then, one day, I collapsed at the office. It's burnout syndrome, the doctor told me gently. You'll need plenty of rest and proper health management for a while. Hearing those words, something inside me just shattered. What had I been living for all these 20 years? The company granted me a month of medical leave, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I had an extended break. Scrolling through the internet, I stumbled upon an advertisement for a month-long retreat program at the Maple Grove Lodge, nestled in a small mountain village near Asheville, North Carolina, deep in the Blue Ridge Mountains. A complete change of scenery, I thought. So, on the first Monday of September, I packed my car and headed south. 2.5 hours out of Chicago, the highway gave way to winding country roads, and soon, I was deep in the mountains. The asphalt narrowed, and all I could see were rolling hills, dense forests, and patches of corn and soybean fields. Then, disaster struck. My GPS blared, "You have arrived at your destination," and promptly died. I looked around, but there was no sign of a lodge. My phone signal was weak, and the internet was non-existent. What do I do now? After wandering for what felt like an eternity, I heard it, the distant rumble of a tractor. An old, faded red tractor was slowly chugging toward me. Behind the wheel sat a man whose face was mostly hidden by the brim of a worn baseball cap. I quickly got out of my car and waved frantically. The tractor stopped in front of me, and the man slowly lifted his cap, looking down. He appeared to be in his early 60s. His skin was tanned and weathered from years in the sun, but his features were sharp. His eyes, in particular, were striking deep and surprisingly cold. "Lost? Use your GPS." His first words were as cold as his gaze, his voice low and gruff. "Oh, I'm so sorry, but my GPS just died. I'm looking for a place called Maple Grove Lodge around here." The man scanned me up and down. My white blouse, black slacks, and heels must have screamed, "City slicker." 2 more miles that way. He pointed vaguely with a calloused hand, then started to put the tractor in gear. "Wait, sir. Could you possibly give me more specific?" But he was already off, driving away without a backward glance. What an unfriendly man, I thought. Yet, strangely, he lingered in my mind. Those cold eyes and that gruff manner kept replaying in my thoughts. Thankfully, following the direction he'd pointed, I soon saw the sign for Maple Grove Lodge. It was a charming, 2-story building, rustic and inviting. "Eleanor, is that you? We've been expecting you." Brenda Miller, the lodge owner, a warm woman in her late 50s, greeted me with a friendly smile. I was shown to a room on the 2nd floor, facing east. The window offered a panoramic view of the mountains and fields. "You must be tired from your drive from Chicago, dear. Have some iced tea. The air and food here are so healthy. You'll feel like a new person after just a month." Brenda said as she poured me a tall glass of iced tea. Did you have any trouble finding us? Well, I did get a little lost, but a man on a tractor pointed me in the right direction. A tractor? Ah, Arthur, I bet. Brenda's expression shifted subtly. Arthur told you the way? Well, I'll be. That's something. Why? Is he someone special? Just then, two elderly women entered the lodge, looking to be in their late 60s or early 70s. Brenda, a cup of that coffee, if you please. Oh, a new face. Yes, this is Eleanor Vance, from Chicago. She's here for the month-long retreat. The women greeted me warmly and settled into chairs nearby. From the city, are you? Must have been a trek to find us. But the air here is something else. Isn't it? It really is wonderful. Actually, a man on a tractor helped me find my way earlier. A tractor? Who? Arthur. I think his name was. The two women exchanged knowing glances, a meaningful smile playing on their lips.
Ah, Arthur Reed.
He's the best bachelor in our whole village, that one. Bachelor? I asked, surprised, and they chuckled. How old is he, if you don't mind me asking? 62 this year. 62 and a bachelor? He never married because he's scared of women. Scared of women? Brenda tried to intervene, but it was too late. One of the women, Martha, leaned in conspiratorially. It's because he's too big, they say. Too big for what? The women started to whisper and giggle. Oh, you know. The other woman, Betty, said, gesturing with her hands to indicate size. A woman he was sweet on once. She took one look on their wedding night and ran off. Bless her heart. Oh my goodness, I gasped, my face flushing, which only seemed to egg them on. He's been alone ever since. Women are all too scared. But he's a good man, truly. Kind-hearted. Brenda quickly added. It's just that one issue that's kept him alone all these years. My mind reeled. That gruff, cold man, alone all his life for that reason? I never would have imagined hearing such a story. Yet, strangely, I found myself even more curious. About that taciturn man. So, is it really that big? I asked in a hushed voice, and the women nodded. Everyone in the village knows it. It's a shame, really. Such a good man, but for that reason. Brenda sighed, her voice full of sympathy. Just then, the sound of a tractor rumbled outside. Looking out the window, I saw him, the man from earlier, driving past. Arthur Reed. Now I knew his name and his shocking secret. Could it really be true? I felt a strange curiosity, a pull I hadn't experienced in years. At 52, I never thought I'd feel something like this again. The women continued their conversation. Still, he's a wonderful farmer, the best in the village, hardworking, and his personality isn't bad. Just quiet, you know? He just tries to avoid women. He's got that trauma. Poor man. I gazed out the window, lost in thought. Was his cold demeanor earlier actually a defense mechanism, a fear of women? Would I ever see him again? I was surprised at myself for even thinking such a thing. After years of being jaded by corporate life, indifferent to almost everything, here I was, intrigued by a man I just met. The women stood up. Well, we'd best be going. Enjoy your stay, Eleanor. Thank you, ladies. After they left, Brenda approached me with an apologetic look. I'm so sorry about them. They can be a bit gossipy. Oh no, it's quite all right. Actually, I found it rather fascinating. Brenda looked surprised. Most people would be put off by such talk. I suppose I'm a little different. And I was. Unlike others, I felt even more interested. In him, Arthur Reed. As evening fell, I took a walk alone. The village was incredibly quiet, and the stars were impossibly bright, like scattered diamonds. In the distance, a warm light glowed from a small house. Could that be Arthur's? My footsteps instinctively led me that way, but I didn't get too close. I just watched from afar. He lives there, all alone. The elder's words echoed in my head. I felt a pang of loneliness, as if sensing his own, a man destined to be alone his entire life. Back at the lodge, I lay in bed, but sleep wouldn't come easily. His face kept appearing in my mind. Those cold eyes, that gruff voice, and the secret hidden beneath it all. Will I see him again tomorrow? I was strangely excited. It was a new, almost teenage thrill at 52. I didn't know it then, but this encounter was about to change my life completely. After my first night at Maple Grove Lodge, I woke up early. In Chicago, I was always dragging myself out of bed. But here, I woke naturally. Opening the window, I watched the sun rise over the mountains. The air really is different here. Brenda served me breakfast. Sleep well? City folks sometimes have trouble sleeping with all this quiet. Not at all. I slept incredibly deeply. As I ate, I asked Brenda, "Is there a market around here? I need to pick up some essentials." "Oh, today's market day. It happens twice a week, and it's today." Perfect timing. Brenda gave me detailed directions. It was about a 10-minute walk from the heart of the village. Around 9 a.m., I headed to the market. It was busier than I expected. Most of the people were older, in their 60s and 70s, but the atmosphere was vibrant. I browsed, picking up detergent, shampoo, and some snacks. Finally, I needed to buy a bag of flour. "Ma'am, could I get a 10-pound bag of all-purpose flour?" "Sure thing, honey. Just a moment." The vendor placed a heavy sack in front of me. "Wow, that's heavy." I tried to lift it but lost my balance, nearly toppling over. Just then, a familiar voice spoke, and strong hands steadied my arm. "Careful now." I looked up to see Arthur Reed, the man from yesterday. "Oh, hello again." I greeted him, and he seemed momentarily flustered. City women shouldn't be lifting heavy things. "You'll hurt yourself." His tone was still gruff, but he picked up the flour sack and carried it to my car for me. "Thank you. But your words are a bit cold." "I'm just stating a fact." "What's cold about it?" Arthur shrugged, but his eyes were less icy than before. "Well, I'll be going then." As Arthur turned to leave, the words just tumbled out of me. "Would you like to grab a coffee? As a thank you." "Don't drink that stuff." He cut me off flatly, but strangely I wasn't offended. If anything, I was even more curious. That afternoon, I felt a cold coming on and went to bed early. I guess the change of environment was taking its toll. The next morning, I had a fever and a sore throat. Definitely caught a cold. Brenda was concerned, but the nearest pharmacy was a 30-minute drive. "I'll be going out tomorrow. I can pick up some medicine then," she offered. "Thank you, Brenda." But by afternoon, a full-blown body ache had set in. I lay there, groaning, when Brenda left the lodge for an errand. I was alone and miserable. Then, in the early evening, I heard a soft sound at my door. What was that? I struggled to my feet and opened the door. No one was there, but a plastic bag sat on the mat. Inside, I found a container of warm soup and a box of cold medicine. A note was taped to the container. "Eat up." The handwriting looked masculine. Who could have left this? But I was starving. I hadn't eaten properly all day and felt completely drained. The moment I took a spoonful of the warm, hearty butternut squash soup, tears welled up. It was so comforting, so nourishing. I could feel my strength returning. It was truly delicious, perfectly sweet and smooth. After taking the medicine, I felt a little better. Who was so thoughtful, my heart felt warm. The next morning, feeling much improved, I went for a walk. As I strolled toward the village entrance, I saw Arthur driving his tractor in the distance. He drove toward me, then stopped the tractor. "Feeling better?" "Yes, thank you." "How did you know?" Arthur's face stiffened for a moment. "Brenda mentioned it, that's all." "So, it was Arthur who brought the soup and medicine." "Oh, I see. Well, thank you so much for the soup yesterday. It really helped." I expressed my gratitude, and Arthur looked flustered. "I didn't do anything like that. Don't get the wrong idea." But as he said it, his ears turned bright red. Ah, his ears are red. In that instant, I realized, this man is shy. At 52, I never thought I'd actually meet a character like him. It really was delicious. "You make a wonderful butternut squash soup." "I told you, I didn't do it." Arthur stammered, his face flushing even more. He's completely flustered. The elder's words came back to me, asterisk. He's a good man, kind-hearted. Asterisk, this must be what they meant. Then maybe someone else brought it? I don't know. I'm busy. Arthur quickly tried to start his tractor. But I wasn't giving up. If you ever need help with farm work, please let me know. I'd like to repay your kindness. What could a city person possibly do? He muttered, driving off. But this time he hadn't outright refused. Is he softening up a little? That afternoon I made a decision. I would go find Arthur's farm. I asked around, and villagers told me it was at the far end of town. I followed a narrow path between fields. After about 10 minutes, I saw a large plot of land. Cabbage and radishes were planted, and there was a chili pepper patch on one side. It was a beautifully maintained farm. Further in, I saw Arthur working, hoeing weeds. Should I go closer? I hesitated for a moment, then gathered my courage and walked toward him. Hello, Arthur. He looked up, surprised. What are you doing here? I wanted to thank you for your help yesterday. I thought I could help you with some farm work. I told you, what could a city person possibly do? His response was still cold, but I already knew his true nature. Even so, I'd like to try. I might be clumsy at first, but… Arthur seemed to consider it for a moment. It's hard work, and you'll get dirty. That's all right. Finally, Arthur sighed and relented. All right then, start by picking some tomatoes over there. He led me to the tomato patch. Ripe red tomatoes hung heavy on the vines. This is how you do it. Arthur demonstrated, carefully twisting the tomatoes from their stems. It wasn't as hard as I thought. Wow, this is fun, I exclaimed, excitedly starting to pick tomatoes. I was clumsy at first but quickly got the hang of it. Arthur watched me, a look of surprise on his face. You're actually pretty good.
I'm glad.
I hope I'm helping. After about an hour, my basket was full. That's enough for today, Arthur said, sounding satisfied. Really? I feel so accomplished. Just then, a sudden downpour began. Oh, it's raining. Big raindrops started falling instantly. Run for the house. Arthur grabbed my hand, and we ran, sprinting toward a small house at the edge of the field. We barely made it under the eaves, breathless. Phew! Why so sudden? Mountain weather is always unpredictable, Arthur said, catching his breath. We were both quite wet. My white blouse was soaked, nearly transparent. Arthur's eyes darted away, flustered. You're very wet. Yes, I am. An awkward silence hung between us. Come inside and dry your clothes. You'll catch another cold. Arthur opened the door. The inside of his house was surprisingly tidy. I saw a living room, a kitchen, and a bedroom. You'll catch a cold if you stay with wet hair. There's a hairdryer, dry your hair. Arthur gruffly handed me the hairdryer. Thank you. But would you mind drying it for me? I asked, a hint of playful seduction in my voice. Huh. Arthur sighed, then reluctantly stood behind me. He carefully began to dry my hair. The warm air blew across my neck, and I could feel his body heat. My heart pounded. It had been so long since I felt such a thrill. All done. Thank you. When my hair was dry, I turned to face him, intending to express my gratitude. But as I turned, I made a mistake. My hand brushed against there, and it was hard, already aroused. Oh, I'm so sorry. Arthur froze, completely flustered. I was just as surprised. The elders were right. Feeling it myself, I knew it was indeed large. The village rumors weren't exaggerated. I confirmed it firsthand. Stay until your clothes dry, Arthur said awkwardly, brewing some tea. We were both too flustered to speak, but strangely, I wasn't put off. If anything, it solidified my feelings. My heart for him was real. As the awkward silence lingered, our eyes met. The atmosphere shifted, becoming charged. Arthur's gaze was different now. Not cold, but something almost desperate. We naturally moved closer to each other. And then a kiss. It was soft and warm, but it only lasted a moment. Arthur pulled back first, looking startled. I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. No, it's all right. Truly. When the rain finally stopped, Arthur spoke. It's late. I'll drive you back to the lodge. We rode back in the tractor in silence, but the air between us was different now. Something had begun. After that kiss, I didn't see Arthur for several days. He seemed to be deliberately avoiding me. He wasn't at his farm when I went to help, and I couldn't find him anywhere in the village. Why is he avoiding me? I asked Brenda, who said he'd gone to another town for business. Asterisk, is that true? Or is he just avoiding me? Asterisk, then, I heard about the annual harvest festival. It's our big fall celebration, Eleanor, Brenda explained. Happens once a year. Everyone in the village comes, we share food, do some traditional dances. Will Arthur be there? Of course. He's a village regular. Finally, a chance to see Arthur again. This time, I planned to make my intentions clear. On the day of the festival, I put extra effort into my appearance. A light pink sundress, just the right amount of makeup. Looking in the mirror, I thought I looked pretty good for 52. Today, I'm going to be bold. The festival was held in the wide yard in front of the village hall. More people than I expected had gathered. Even folks from neighboring towns came, making it quite lively. All sorts of food were laid out. Dishes made with freshly picked vegetables, roasted chicken that had been raised right here, and even some local homemade apple brandy. Eleanor, sit here. Brenda motioned me over. We sat together, eating and chatting. But Arthur was nowhere to be seen. Surely he wouldn't miss it? After waiting for a while, I spotted a familiar figure in the distance. It was Arthur. He was wearing a clean button-down shirt, unlike his usual work clothes. His hair was even neatly combed. The moment he saw me, Arthur paused. He seemed flustered by my dressed-up appearance. Arthur, over here. Mayor Thompson called him over. His seat happened to be directly across from mine. Arthur reluctantly sat down. You look even prettier in city clothes. Arthur muttered almost to himself. Excuse me? What did you say? Nothing at all. He denied it, his face turning red. Another shy boy reaction. It was endearing. Throughout dinner, our eyes kept meeting. Arthur would glance at me, and if our eyes connected, he'd quickly look away. He's like a middle schooler. But I didn't dislike it one bit. After dinner, it was time for the traditional dances. All right, everyone, let's all dance. At Mayor Thompson's call, people started forming a circle. I naturally joined in, and then Arthur stood next to me. Ever danced like this before? No, it's my first time. Then I'll show you. Arthur took my hand. It was warm and rough, a farmer's hand, but he led me gently. The music started, and the dancing began. The steps were simple, but I struggled at first. Like this, no, this way. Arthur carefully guided me. We grew closer and closer. As we danced, our bodies naturally brushed against each other. I could feel Arthur's warmth. My heart pounded again. To feel such excitement at 52. When the dance ended, applause erupted. You did well. Arthur offered a small smile. It was the first genuine smile I'd seen from him. I'd only seen his cold expressions until now, but when he smiled, he looked like a completely different person. He's truly handsome. My feelings for him solidified even more. As the festival wound down, Arthur said, I'll drive you home. Thank you. This time, it wasn't his tractor, but a small sedan. You have a car too? Not just the tractor. Can't drive the tractor on a night like this, Arthur said, a bit shyly. The atmosphere in the car was pleasant. I really enjoyed today. Me too, Arthur answered honestly. Would you like to come in for a cup of tea or a drink at my place? I asked cautiously. At the lodge? No, at your house. Arthur hesitated for a moment, then nodded. All right, just for a little while. This was my second time at Arthur's house. The first time was because of the sudden rain, but this time I had initiated it. Inside, Arthur brought out a bottle of bourbon. Only bourbon? Is that all right? Perfect. We sat and began to drink, celebrating the festival. At first, we talked about the festival and village life. But as the bourbon flowed, the mood shifted. Arthur, are you really going to live alone your whole life? Emboldened by the alcohol, I asked directly. Arthur's face darkened. I have to. Why? I'm different from other men. The elder's words came back to me. Is different about your body? Arthur looked startled, staring at me. How did you know? The village elders told me. Arthur's face turned scarlet. They talked about that? How embarrassing. What's there to be embarrassed about? I leaned a little closer. If anything, I'm curious. Arthur looked flustered, backing away. Eleanor, I've been divorced for 5 years, and I've been alone. I was lonely. I confessed my honest feelings. But after meeting you, something changed. Arthur's eyes wavered. I was lonely too, he admitted in a soft voice. I thought being alone was my destiny, but seeing you, he trailed off. As I leaned in a little closer, Arthur, flustered, put down his glass. Just then, I stood up, my foot catching on the table leg, and I stumbled. Arthur quickly reached out and caught me in his arms, and in that moment, I felt it again, the familiar change. Something firm pressed against my back. It's just like yesterday, I said, turning to face him. Arthur's face was beet red.
I'm sorry.
I keep doing this. There's nothing to be sorry about. The atmosphere grew heated. I became more assertive, placing my hand on the buttons of his shirt. Eleanor, no, Arthur said, grabbing my hand. Why not? I'm too big. It'll be really hard for you, he said, his voice trembling. Other women have all run away. You'll get hurt. I could feel the trauma of his past in his words. But I refused to give up. I might be different, you know? How do you know if you don't even try? Are you really sure? Yes.
I'm truly curious.
That night, we finally crossed the line. Arthur kept saying, I'll go slow. Worried? But contrary to all expectations, there was no problem at all. In fact, we were perfectly matched. The words of the village elders began to make sense, one by one. But there was something they hadn't told me. How utterly perfect it could be. It began with surprise, then acceptance, and finally a profound joy. Now I understood why Arthur had been so worried, and why those worries were unfounded. That night was truly perfect. Are you really okay? Arthur asked, an incredulous look on his face. Absolutely. In fact, it was truly wonderful. In that moment, a look of profound relief finally washed over Arthur's face. But our real story was just beginning. After that first intimate night, Arthur's reaction was truly surprising. Really? Truly? He asked again and again, as if unable to believe it. Yes, truly. I was actually surprised. Surprised by what? That we would fit together so perfectly. Arthur smiled. A genuine, joyful smile I hadn't seen before. Because of you, I feel confident for the first time. I could see how much he had shrunk from life, how his body had made him give up on relationships with women his entire life. Why did we meet so late? Arthur said, stroking my hair. It's not late at all. I think this is exactly the right time. He was right. At 52 and 62, if we had been younger, we might not have been able to build such a deep connection. From that day on, we saw each other almost every day. During the day, I helped him with his farm work, and in the evenings, we spent time at his house. Today's the day for canning pickled green beans and corn relish, Arthur announced, outlining his farm schedule. Canning? I'll help. Do you know how? I used to do it sometimes in Chicago with my grandmother. But country canning was different. The size of the vegetables, the freshness was incomparable to anything I bought in the city. Wow, these green beans are huge. They're homegrown, you know. We use minimal pesticides, so they're healthy, and the taste is far superior. Arthur said proudly. The canning process was quite involved, from preparing the vegetables to making the brine and spices. This is how you do it. Arthur stood behind me, guiding my hands. Situations where we were close kept happening. Every time our bodies touched, I could feel Arthur's reaction. You're doing it again, I teased, and Arthur laughed. It's you, Eleanor. You make me feel this way. He was no longer ashamed. Instead, he was confident, even bold. In the evenings, we spent time together at his house. When did you start farming, Arthur? Since I was in my 20s, so over 40 years now. Did you start all by yourself? After my father passed away. My mother followed a few years later. Arthur's voice softened a little. So you've truly been alone for a very long time. Yes, I just thought it was my fate. You're not alone anymore. I took Arthur's hand. It feels like a dream. Arthur squeezed my hand tightly. That night, we continued to get to know each other better. It was much more natural and wonderful than before. We understood each other on a deeper level. As the days passed, I discovered the warmth hidden beneath Arthur's gruff exterior. They're predicting rain today. Go home early. Thank you, Arthur. You be careful too. I'll be fine. Just don't want you catching another cold. He was always worried about me, speaking gruffly but with such a warm heart. Why were you so cold to me at first? I asked him one day, curious. Because women always avoided me. I thought it was better to keep my distance from the start. He had such a painful past. There was someone I really loved when I was young, Arthur confided, telling me about his past for the first time. I even thought about marriage, but she saw me on our wedding night and ran away. So that's why you were so hurt. From then on, I kept women at arm's length. I could understand Arthur's past pain. You don't have to worry about that anymore. That's all thanks to you, Eleanor. We grew closer and closer, comforting each other's wounds and easing our loneliness. Happy times flew by quickly. Soon, my month-long stay was coming to an end. Only a week left now, Brenda said wistfully. Time really does fly. My heart, however, was conflicted. I couldn't accept the reality of returning to Chicago and leaving Arthur. Arthur, too, had become distant again. Go home early today. Why? We finished earlier than usual. Just thought you might be tired. He was clearly trying to keep his distance. Just a few days ago, we spent every evening together. But now he was making excuses to avoid me. Why is he suddenly acting like this? Unable to bear it any longer, I went directly to Arthur's house. Arthur, why are you avoiding me lately? Arthur's face was grim as he opened the door. I'm not avoiding you. Then what is it? You've been acting strange for days. Arthur sighed. Come inside. Let's talk. We sat facing each other in his living room. Because you're going back anyway, Arthur muttered. What did you say? You're going back to Chicago, Eleanor. You have your job, your daughter, your whole life there. What does that have to do with anything? A 52-year-old city woman and a 62-year-old country farmer. A sense of self-deprecation was heavy in Arthur's voice. Don't talk about yourself like that. It's the truth, isn't it? I barely finished elementary school. You're a college-educated woman. What does education matter? But Arthur continued to dwell on the negatives. At first, I thought you were just having a bit of fun. An interesting experience. An interesting experience? I raised my voice, angry. Is that truly what you think? Arthur looked startled. No, it's not that, Then what is it? What am I to you, that you would say such a thing? Tears welled in my eyes. You're so cruel. As I choked back a sob, Arthur's expression changed. Eleanor, I was serious. From the beginning to the end. Me too. Me too, Arthur. Arthur said, his voice trembling. Then why are you doing this? Because I'm scared to lose you, Arthur confessed honestly. I thought I was content with being lonely. But because of you, I finally understood what happiness was. My heart pounded. But now, the thought of being alone again. You fool! I hugged Arthur tightly. Who said you'd be alone? What does age matter? What matters is our hearts. Arthur looked at me, his eyes brimming with tears. Will it really be okay? Someone like me. I want to ask you the same thing, Arthur. Will it be okay for someone like me, an older woman? What are you talking about? Eleanor, you're 52. You're not old at all. To me, you're the most beautiful woman in the world. Arthur's heartfelt confession brought tears to my eyes. You're the most wonderful man in the world, Arthur. That night, we confirmed our true feelings for each other. We decided we would no longer surrender to the barriers of reality. After confessing our true feelings, I made a momentous decision. I would return to Chicago, quit my job, and settle here in the village. Are you truly going to do that? Arthur asked, looking as if he couldn't believe it. Yes, my mind is made up. But you have your daughter in Chicago, and your whole life is there. Chloe is an adult now, and I can build a new life here. Honestly, it wasn't an easy decision. Leaving a company I'd been with for 20 years, giving up my Chicago life, but I felt a certainty in my heart. I kept thinking, what have I been living for all these 20 years? Now, I want to live for true happiness. Tears welled in Arthur's eyes. Eleanor, I found true love late in life too. I don't want to lose it. There were many things to take care of back in Chicago. I had to resign from my company, sort out my apartment, and explain the situation to my daughter. Mom, are you really going to do this? Chloe asked, surprised. Who is this man? You're just going to move to the country. He's a wonderful man, honey. He truly cherishes me. How old is he? 62. Chloe's eyes widened. He's 10 years older than you. Age isn't what matters, sweetie. Our connection is. At first, Chloe was against it, but after understanding my sincerity, she came around. Mom, if you're happy, then I'm happy too. I want to meet him. Thank you, Chloe. Sorting things out at work was easier than expected. Ms. Vance, are you really going to live in the country? My colleagues were amazed. Yes, I'm starting a new life. I'm so envious. I wonder if I'll ever be brave enough to do something like that. Leaving the company after 20 years was bittersweet, but I had no regrets. The anticipation of starting a new life with Arthur was far greater. I also decided to rent out my apartment. I wouldn't sell it outright, just rent it out for now to see how things went. A month later, I headed back to North Carolina. This time, it was a full-fledged move with all my belongings. Arthur even borrowed a truck to help me. You really came? Arthur said, still sounding incredulous. I promised, didn't I? It feels like a dream. As we unpacked, we started making plans for the future. For now, I'd stay at Maple Grove Lodge and help Arthur on the farm. Eventually, I thought about opening a small bed and breakfast or a farm-to-table restaurant. I think I can make something work, using my city experience. That's a great idea. I'll help you. Arthur enthusiastically agreed. A few days later, Arthur awkwardly cleared his throat. Eleanor, there's something I need to tell you. What is it? Will you farm with me forever? I burst out laughing at his clumsy proposal. Is that your proposal? Oh, well, that's... Arthur looked flustered. You need to do it properly. How? Don't I get down on one knee? I've never done anything like that before. In the end, I had to help him. Eleanor Vance, will you marry me? That's how you do it, Arthur. Eleanor Vance, will you marry me? Arthur repeated. Yes, I will. Finally, we were engaged. The villagers' reaction was enthusiastic. Arthur finally found his match. Eleanor, you're a brave woman. The elders were the most delighted. We told you from the beginning, didn't we? We knew something would happen back then. Haha, our eyes were right all along. Brenda was also genuinely happy for us. It's wonderful. You two are such good people. You deserve each other. The entire village blessed our union. Our wedding was a simple affair at the village hall. Instead of a fancy wedding dress, I wore a beautiful, elegant dress that felt perfect for a country wedding. Arthur, in his suit, looked incredibly handsome. The bride and groom are both truly beautiful. Mayor Thompson officiated. My daughter, Chloe, even came down from Chicago to celebrate with us. After the wedding, we started our new life together in Arthur's house. It was a small home, but it was more than enough for the two of us. Most importantly, I was with the man I loved, and anywhere with him felt like home. We held each other close. It was a late-in-life love, found at 52 and 62, but it was deeper and truer than any love I had ever known. We began our new life surrounded by the blessings of the villagers. I don't know what challenges await us, but with Arthur by my side, I feel like I can do anything. Sometimes I miss Chicago, but life here is far more fulfilling. I've learned that true happiness lies in living close to nature every day, taking care of my health, and eating fresh, wholesome food. Our story of Golden Years romance has only just begun. This concludes today's story. Thank you to everyone who stayed with me until the end. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing, liking, and leaving a comment saying, "I enjoyed it." Your encouragement means a great deal to me.